You know that feeling when you open your parents' medicine cabinet and pill bottles come tumbling out like an avalanche? That was me 6 months ago, standing in my mom's bathroom completely overwhelmed. 15 different medications, all with different schedules, some with food, some without. My mom, battling both arthritis and heart issues, had simply given up trying to keep track of it all. "I don't even know what I'm taking anymore," she told me, tears welling in her eyes. "Sometimes I just skip them all because it's too confusing." That confession terrified me. Because as a nurse for over 20 years, I knew exactly how dangerous medication mismanagement can be. But what happened next changed everything, not just for my mom, but for hundreds of families I've helped since. The situation with my mom isn't unique. Nearly 40% of adults over 65 take 5 or more medications daily. That's a staggering number when you think about it. And here's what most people don't realize. Medication errors at home cause almost 125,000 deaths annually. That's not a typo. 125,000 preventable deaths. I remember sitting at my mom's kitchen table that day, sorting through her medications. Some prescriptions were outdated. Some were duplicates prescribed by different specialists who weren't communicating with each other. Some were medications that shouldn't be taken together. And my mom, an intelligent, capable woman who raised 4 kids and ran her own business, was completely lost in the shuffle. "I feel stupid," she confessed. "Like I can't handle even the simplest things anymore." That broke my heart. Because this isn't about intelligence or capability. The medication system itself is broken. When you're dealing with multiple health conditions, multiple doctors, and multiple medications, it becomes a full-time job just keeping track of it all. As a nurse, I've seen this problem from both sides. In the hospital, we have systems, protocols, medication reconciliation processes. But the moment patients walk out those doors, they're often on their own, armed with nothing but a stack of prescriptions and maybe a hastily scribbled schedule. Let's talk about why the common approaches to medication management so often fail. Many of you have probably tried pill organizers, those plastic containers with little compartments for each day of the week. My mom had 3 of them actually. All partially filled. All confusing her more than helping. The problem with standard pill organizers is they don't account for the complexity of modern medication regimens. Take twice daily with food. Take on an empty stomach. Don't take with grapefruit juice. Skip this one if you take that one. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape. Then there are medication reminder apps. Great in theory, but my mom, like many seniors, isn't glued to her smartphone. The notifications would go off, she'd dismiss them, and then immediately forget what the reminder was for. Written schedules. Those get lost. Relying on memories. That's where the most dangerous errors happen. I remember one patient I had, let's call him Robert. Brilliant man, former professor. He was taking his heart medication twice daily, instead of once because he couldn't remember if he'd taken it already. By the time we discovered this, his blood pressure was dangerously low. He could have died all because the system failed him. The truth is, these traditional methods were designed for a simpler time, when people might take 1 or 2 medications. They simply don't work for today's complex healthcare realities. The solution for my mom came from an unexpected place, not from a fancy app or an expensive service, but from decades of watching what actually works on the hospital floor. It happened during one of my night shifts. I was watching our medication distribution system, how nurses track, verify, and administer hundreds of medications without errors. And I had this moment of clarity: what if I could simplify that system for home use? I came home and sketched out the first version of what I now call the visual verification system. It's embarrassingly simple, which is exactly why it works. The core principle is this: our brains process visual information 60,000 times faster than text. So instead of relying on written instructions or memory, we need visual cues. For my mom, I created a simple chart with actual photos of each pill, organized not just by day but by time and meal status. Then I added a physical verification component, a way for her to track completion that engages multiple senses. The first week we implemented this system, my mom called me, excitement in her voice for the first time in months. "I did it," she said. "I took every single medication exactly when I was supposed to. And I knew exactly what I was taking and why. That moment right there is why I'm making this video. Let me walk you through exactly how. This visual verification system works, because I want you to be able to implement it today if you need to. First component, the visual guide. This isn't just a list of medications. It's a visual reference with actual photos of each pill, next to its name, purpose, and special instructions. Our brains remember images far better than names like metoprolol or atorvastatin. For my mom, seeing the little white oval pill was much more effective than reading lisinopril 10 mg. Second component, the time-based organization. Instead of organizing by day of the week, we organize primarily by time of day and relationship to meals. Morning with breakfast. Afternoon with lunch. Evening with dinner. Bedtime. This creates a natural rhythm that follows your daily routine. Third component, the physical verification. This is where the magic happens. After taking each medication, there's a physical action that engages muscle memory. Flipping a card, moving a magnet, or in my mom's case, sliding a bead on a simple abacus-like counter I made her. This physical movement creates what psychologists call a completion trigger, a clear signal to your brain that the task is done. Fourth component, the reset ritual. Every evening before bed or every morning, whatever works for your schedule, there's a simple reset ritual that prepares the system for the next day. This takes less than a minute but creates closure and readiness. What makes this system different is that it works with how our brains naturally function. It doesn't require learning new technology or remembering complex instructions. It uses visual processing, routine building, and physical verification, all things our brains are already good at. One of my patients, an 82-year-old gentleman with Parkinson's, told me, "For the first time in years, I feel confident about my medications. I'm not second-guessing myself anymore. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, my situation is different. My mom has memory issues, or my dad is resistant to any new system, or I'm managing medications for someone who lives alone. Let me address these scenarios because I've worked with all of them. For memory issues, including early-stage dementia, the visual and physical components of this system are actually even more effective. Studies show that procedural memory, the memory for physical tasks, often remains intact even when other memory functions decline. One of my patients with early Alzheimer's still successfully uses a modified version of this system with larger visual cues and simplified steps. For resistant family members, and believe me, I understand this challenge, the key is to start small. Don't overhaul their entire medication system overnight. Begin with just the most important medication or the one that causes the most confusion. Let them experience success with that one, then gradually expand. My own father, stubborn as they come, initially refused any system, so I started with just his heart medication using a simple visual cue. 2 weeks later, he asked me to help him organize the rest. For long-distance caregiving, this system can be adapted to include check-ins. Many of my patients use a simple phone call or text message as part of their verification process. "Dad, did you move all your morning markers?" becomes a natural way to verify compliance without sounding like you're checking up on them. The beauty of this approach is its flexibility. The core principles remain the same, but you can adapt the specific implementation to match individual needs, preferences, and situations. Medication management isn't just about taking pills at the right time. It's about the entire medication experience. Let me explain what I mean. Medications have specific requirements. Take with food, take on an empty stomach, don't take with certain other medications or foods. These instructions aren't arbitrary. They directly impact how effective the medication will be. For example, certain antibiotics are rendered almost useless if taken with dairy products. Some blood pressure medications can cause dangerous drops in pressure if taken without food. These details matter tremendously. As part of our system, we create what I call medication context cards that clearly outline these requirements using simple visuals. A pill with a food icon. A pill with a crossed-out milk carton. These visual cues are far more effective than written warnings that often go unread. I remember one patient who couldn't understand why her thyroid medication wasn't working properly. Turns out she was taking it with her morning coffee with milk. A simple adjustment, taking the medication 30 minutes before breakfast, made all the difference in her thyroid levels. Another crucial aspect is side effect monitoring. Many people don't know which side effects warrant calling the doctor immediately and which ones are expected. Our system includes simple monitoring tools, again visual whenever possible, to track side effects and know when to seek help. One family I worked with created what they called the yellow light red light system for their father's heart medication. Yellow light symptoms meant call the doctor within 24 hours. Red light symptoms meant call the doctor immediately or go to the ER. This clarity eliminated both unnecessary worry and dangerous delay. One of the biggest challenges in medication management is coordination between different healthcare providers. My mom was seeing a cardiologist, a rheumatologist, and her primary care doctor. None of them had a complete picture of all her medications. As part of our system, we created what I call the Medication Master List, a comprehensive document that lists every medication, its purpose, the prescribing doctor, and special instructions. This document goes to every doctor's appointment and gets updated as needed. I recommend taking photos of all your medications and keeping them on your phone. This has saved countless confusion in emergency situations. When my neighbor's husband was taken to the ER and couldn't remember the name of his blood thinner, she simply showed the ER doctor a photo of the pill. That small preparation potentially saved his life. Another crucial aspect is having regular medication reviews. Every 6 months, schedule an appointment with your primary care provider specifically to review all medications. Ask directly, is this medication still necessary? Are there any interactions I should be aware of? Could any of these medications be reduced or eliminated? I've seen patients who were on medications for years simply because no one ever reassessed whether they were still needed. One of my patients was taking a medication for acid reflux that was only meant to be used for 6 weeks. She'd been on it for 7 years because no one ever told her to stop, and it was causing significant calcium loss in her bones. These conversations with healthcare providers aren't always easy. Many patients feel rushed or intimidated during appointments. That's why I created a medication question card template that my mom and other patients use. Having your questions written down ahead of time ensures you don't forget important points during the appointment. There's an aspect of medication management that rarely gets discussed but is incredibly important: the emotional component. Taking multiple medications daily is more than just a physical task. It's a constant reminder of illness or limitation. For my mom, each pill represented a failure of her body in some way. Her arthritis medication reminded her of the activities she could no longer enjoy. Her heart medication made her feel vulnerable. This emotional weight made her resistant to staying on top of her medication schedule. Through working with hundreds of patients, I've discovered that acknowledging these feelings is crucial to successful medication management. When we implemented our new system, I made sure to create space for my mom to express her frustration and grief about needing these medications in the first place. One approach that's been remarkably effective is what I call medication reframing. Instead of viewing medications as symbols of illness, we reframe them as tools for maintaining independence and quality of life. My mom's heart medication became her garden pill, the medication that allows her to keep tending the flowers she loves. Her arthritis medication became her grandkid pill, the one that helps her hold and play with her grandchildren. This shift in perspective might seem small, but it transforms medication from a burden into an enabler of the life you want to live. I've seen this reframing technique reduce medication resistance dramatically among my patients. Another emotional aspect is the shift in identity that comes with managing a complex medication regimen. Many people, especially those who have been independent their whole lives, struggle with feeling like a patient or like an old person. Acknowledging this identity challenge and finding ways to maintain dignity and autonomy within the medication routine is essential. One gentleman I worked with, a former military officer used to being in control, particularly struggled with this aspect. We designed his system to emphasize choice and command. He deployed his medications each morning, maintaining the language and sense of purpose that aligned with his self-image. His compliance improved dramatically when the system respected who he was as a person. I want to be clear, I'm not anti-technology when it comes to medication management. I'm just selective about which technologies actually help rather than add complexity. For example, automatic pill dispensers can be wonderful for some situations. These devices release the correct medications at programmed times and can even send alerts if doses are missed. For my patient with Parkinson's who lives alone, this technology has been life-changing. But for my mom, it was just another complicated device to figure out. Medication reminder apps can be useful for people who are already comfortable with smartphones. The best ones in my experience are those that allow for caregiver monitoring from a distance. My colleague uses an app that alerts her when her father, who lives 300 miles away, hasn't marked his medications as taken. Prescription delivery services eliminate the hassle of pharmacy visits and can ensure you never run out of important medications. Many now offer medication synchronization, aligning all your refill dates so everything comes at once, which significantly reduces confusion. Electronic pill bottle caps that record when the bottle was last opened can help with the common question, did I take this already? These are particularly useful for medications where timing is critical. The key with any technology is to evaluate whether it simplifies or complicates the process for your specific situation. The best technology feels almost invisible. It supports the process without becoming the process itself. I helped one family set up a simple video calling routine where their mother would take her morning medications during a regular video chat with her daughter. Technology enabled connection and verification simultaneously, making the medication routine a positive moment of family contact rather than a solitary task. The final piece of successful medication management is sustainability. Any system, no matter how brilliant, fails if it can't be maintained over time. For caregivers managing someone else's medications, burnout is a real risk. The constant vigilance required can be exhausting. That's why building breaks and shared responsibility into the system is crucial. In my own family, my sister and I created a rotation for overseeing our mom's medication system. Each of us takes primary responsibility for 2 weeks at a time, which includes checking in, helping with refills, and updating the system as needed. This shared approach prevents any one person from becoming overwhelmed. For those managing their own medications, building medication routines into existing daily habits creates sustainability. One of my patients keeps her morning medications next to her coffee maker. The action of making coffee triggers the memory to take her pills. Another keeps evening medications on his nightstand, making them part of his bedtime routine. The concept of habit stacking, attaching a new habit to an established one, is particularly effective for medication management. Your brain already has strong neural pathways for daily habits like brushing teeth or eating meals. Attaching medication routines to these existing habits leverages these pathways. When inevitable disruptions occur, travel, illness, change schedules, having a backup plan is essential. My mom has what we call her travel system, a simplified version of her home system that maintains the critical visual and verification components while being portable. Perhaps most importantly, build regular reviews and adjustments into your system. What works perfectly today may need tweaking in 6 months as medications or conditions change. I recommend a quick system review monthly and a more comprehensive evaluation quarterly. One of my patients sets a recurring calendar reminder titled, "Is my system still working?" This simple prompt ensures she regularly evaluates and adjusts her approach before problems develop. When I look back at where my mom was 6 months ago, confused, anxious, and regularly missing critical medications, compared to where she is today, confident, in control, and healthier than she's been in years, I'm reminded of why I became a nurse in the first place. Sometimes the simplest solutions make the most profound differences in people's lives. The visual verification system I've shared with you today isn't revolutionary in its components. It's revolutionary in its effectiveness because it works with our natural cognitive processes rather than against them. It transforms medication management from a burdensome chore fraught with anxiety into a straightforward routine that builds confidence. If you're struggling with medication management, whether for yourself or someone you love, I want you to know that it can get better. The overwhelm you're feeling isn't a personal failure, it's a system failure. And systems can be fixed. Start small. Pick one element we've discussed today, maybe the visual guide or the physical verification component, and implement just that piece. Experience some success, then build from there. Remember that perfect medication management isn't the goal, better medication management is. Every step you take toward a more effective system directly improves health outcomes and quality of life. If this approach has resonated with you, I've created more detailed guides and templates that you can download from the link in the description. These resources expand on everything we've covered today and provide step-by-step implementation instructions. I'd love to hear your experiences, questions, and insights in the comments. Your challenges and successes might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. Thank you for staying with me through this discussion. From one caregiver to another, whether you're caring for yourself or someone you love, you're doing important work. And you don't have to do it alone.